hollowed out a lot of these small towns and small cities. And so when I traveled with Donald Trump into these cities, there were forgotten men and women in these cities. There's a good 25% of the people that feel disaffected from the system. These once blue-collar aspirational, economically aspirational people have now become blue-collar desperational. And they don't like the establishment. They don't like the political establishment. They don't like the medical establishment. They don't want to take the vaccine. They don't like the media. They certainly don't like the a big pharma or politics, if you will, big politics. And so Donald Trump is an avatar for their anger. And so they see him as a representative of the things that they don't like about the country. So even though he is a charlatan, and even though he's a con man, and even though he's a congenital liar, what Mr. Trump said is true. He could shoot people on Fifth Avenue, and he would still have a high level of support because there's been a vacuum of advocacy for these people. Now, the great irony of all of this is that Joe Biden, in the last 3.5 years, has put 3 or 4 major pieces of legislation through that are actually helping these people. The CHIPS Act, we're rebuilding microprocessor foundries in the United States. The infrastructure bill, we're rebuilding bridges, roads, and tunnels in the United States like we haven't done in the last 30 years. And of course, he has the $250 billion onshoring project that he's working on to rebuild manufacturing in the United States. And so the great irony is because the president's age and his stutter, he is having a very hard time articulating this economic agenda that it's helping the people that are supposedly for Donald Trump. So there's a lot going on at the same time. There's a lot of cross currents. But Mr. Trump's support, his unbreakable support, is a result of these people feeling left out of the system. Trump has a high floor, but he also has a low ceiling. And so people that really get to know him, that look at his entire resume of different things that he's done in his life, now, wow, that's not a guy that I would want close to my family. That's not a guy that I would want as a role model for my children. That's not a guy that I would want to run the country. And I will leave you with this thought. In the 11 days that I was there, Trump has no executive management skills. He's not able to direct or delegate people appropriately. He's not able to, he doesn't have a vision really that he's going to project to make the country better. He said he was going to balance the budget. He created $8 trillion of deficit spending on his watch. And just to give you a sense for what $8 trillion deficit spending is, we went from George Washington to George W. Bush and created $7 trillion of deficit spending. So Donald Trump eclipsed them in a 4-year term. So this is a super dangerous person to put in this job at this critical hour in our democracy, in this critical hour where 5.7 billion people, 5.7 billion travelers on this planet we call Earth are under the aegis of authoritarianism, under the aegis of dictatorships around the world. The United States represents a beacon of liberty and a beacon of hope for Western liberal democracy. And so we need somebody at the top of the United States right now that understands that and will project that and will preserve that. And we're at a moment of extreme danger, and it's very important for people like myself to explain what that is and to the best of our capabilities, so at least we can tell the American people that they've been warned before they go down a path, they revisit a path that would potentially include Donald Trump. The only thing I can say to you is that Mr. Trump is a well-known guy. Most people are low-information voters. The presidency is won by a number of different factors, but the number one factor is name recognition. And I think Mr. Trump represents to people that are doing a cursory examination of the situation, he represents a man of business success as perpetrated on the show The Apprentice. And so he's also somebody that believes in this nativism. And there is, unfortunately, a good 15 to 20% of the country that also aspires to nativism. And so it's never been a majority of the country, thank God, but it is part of this country, and he represents them. And there is a path for him through the Electoral College, but there isn't a path of popularity. He's never gotten above 50%, even in his approval ratings. He's never got above 50%. And the two popular vote elections that he was a part of, he wouldn't get above 50% this time, for that matter, in 2024. So we'll have to see what happens, but